Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to My Hero Academia Season 4, Episode 2. Sorry it's so dark in here, by the way. It's not really that late. It's just it's like 8 minutes before 5. But it's just super fucking overcast out there, so it just seems darker than it actually is. But anyway, the first episode of the season was just a recap with some extra stuff put in, like this photographer. I think his name was Tokida or something like that. I still want his quirk. But it wasn't like anything like major to the story. I think it was mostly filler stuff. Outside of the recap. So this episode, I assume we're going to start getting into the meat of this season. We did get a brief post-credits scene last time, though, with Overhaul being driven around by Twice. And I think it's pretty clear that Overhaul is going to become a big deal this season. I don't know exactly how. I don't know the context behind all this stuff, but yeah, I think I mentioned that in my first episode thoughts and all. Yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes and all. There's a lot I feel they're going to be going into here, because here's the thing. Izuku and almost the entire rest of the class, save for Bakugo and Todoroki, have their licenses, their provisional licenses. So they're able to act as heroes outside of school on provisional terms, of course, but still. I feel that is very much going to come into play. On top of that, All Might retiring last season and everything, and now being just, the symbol of peace is retired, all of that jazz, that's going to come into play. I very much feel that is going to come into play in this next arc. And we're going to get something really big happening, again, probably with Overhaul. So we're going to kind of go into that, and of course it's going to lead to our heroes in training having to use those licenses already. The big three are probably going to be a big deal going forward. I believe they're all in the opening. All three of them are. By the way, I have now seen the opening multiple more times, and I'm still not the biggest fan of it. It's probably the weakest opening this series has had so far. The visuals are fine, but not anything special, like especially in comparison to the visuals of all the other openings. And the music sucks. It's just not that good. It's so generic and bland. It just doesn't feel like a My Hero Academia opening. It just does not. It's so just freaking generic. But yeah. So I think the big three are going to become a big part. I'm just wondering what's going to go next with like other characters, because it's like every season we have different characters who are focused on a little more and everything. I'm wondering what characters we're going to get for this time. And I hope we still, of course, get more Bakugo development and all, because that's been phenomenal. Yeah, there's just a lot to go on with this, and well, not really much to go on at all at the same time. There's a lot to think about, but not really anything to work off of, at least from my perspective. Excuse me. I need a drink or something. Do I have anything? No. I'll get something in between this and the reaction. But yeah, as someone who's not a manga reader, as someone who doesn't really look into spoilers at all, I'm flying blind. Like I said, there's only a couple things here and there that I know, and it's very minor, and I don't know all the details behind it, so yeah. But I am excited to get to more of this. This is still one of my favorite shows of all time, and this season is supposed to be really intense, from what I've been told. I haven't been told any spoilers, I've just been told it's supposed to be really intense, which, to be fair, is very subjective anyway, so I'm fine with something like that, as long as it's very, very, like, lacking in any details. Oh my goodness, excuse me, I definitely have to get a drink. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, so we're just going to get this started. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so there's really two parts to this episode that I want to talk about. And I'll get to the villain side later. So let's talk about the heroes. So on the hero side, we have them working towards their oh my gosh, I forgot what they're called. Their not course studies. Shit. Wow, I'm really blanking on this. Work studies, that's it. So they're going for their work studies, and while some of the teachers and even the principal were opposed to letting the first years do so at this point, enough was done to where they can do it, but only with reputable, agencies. And so Izuku asks All Might about Sir Night Eye's agency. And All Might refuses for a few reasons, but allows it to happen, but he won't be the one to introduce Izuku to Night Eye. Instead, he gets Mirio Tagata to do so, one of the big three. And we find out that Mirio would have been the choice for All Might if it hadn't been if he hadn't met Izuku. So that's really interesting and confirming something that a lot of us had thought already. So Mirio takes Izuku to Night Eye's agency, and we find out that apparently Night Eye holds humor in a very high regard, to the point where he believes that in order to train someone, they have to make him laugh. So when they get there, Bubble Girl had apparently been giving this report, and she couldn't make him laugh with it or something. I don't know. Also, sorry for the sun just suddenly coming in like that. But yeah, so he puts her into this tickling machine, and I'll admit that scene's a little weird. It's a little weird. I assume Bubble Girl is an adult, and she was clearly not comfortable with this and everything. It's just weird. I'm sorry. It's on a verge of falling over a line that I really am, that this show has skated around before. Let's just put it that way. That admittedly is one of the things about this show to acknowledge. But yeah, so anyway, anywho, Izuku comes in, and knowing that he has to somehow make Sir Night Eye laugh, he decides to use the All Might face that he had done before. We saw that in, I believe it was season 2. He was talking to All Might, and All Might's like, "Do you remember what I said to you?" And he does the All Might face and says, "Eat this." I thought that was just like a one-off gag, but apparently that's legitimately something Izuku can do. Apparently that's something he's actually practiced in the mirror for years. That's redunculous. That's completely redunculous. But he does the face and everything and the impression, but Sir Night Eye, having been All Might's sidekick, is kind of offended by it, it seems. It's like, "Oh, are you making fun of All Might?" And it's like, yeah, that didn't go well. Kind of ends off right there, so we don't see what happens next. But yeah, like, just interesting way to leave off. But then we get to the villain stuff. So the villain stuff to actually happen first, but still. So Twice brings Overhaul to the League of Villains, because the League is recruiting new members and everything. And Overhaul, we find out, is the leader of one of the big Yakuza groups. Though, to be fair, the Yakuza are kind of on the downswing now, because like compared to like actual major villain groups, the Yakuza are kind of seen as like past their prime. They're kind of seen as like the old school kind of thing, not really taken seriously. So Overhaul's just talking to them and basically saying like, "Oh, you guys have no fucking clue what you're doing," and he's like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing though. I have a plan. Work with me." And so they refuse, obviously, and Big Sis Mag decides to kind of, she goes a little far, admittedly. Now, it talks about how she went out with her friend before, um, which apparently, unfortunately, wasn't an actual date, which kind of sucks, but they were just, I guess, friends. Or maybe it's just, just how it's being worded here. I can still assume it's a date. Screw it. um, but she ends up attacking Overhaul, and it seems like he uses his quirk on her. It seems like he explodes her. He just completely blows her up from like the waist up, and it's like it's very like just not even a question that she's fucking dead. um, and Compress loses an arm the same way. In the moment, we also see that apparently Overhaul is maybe a bit of a germaphobe, which is interesting. But we also see Overhaul's goons come in, and he kind of lays things down. It's like, you guys are gonna join me. But then after they leave, Shigaraki's like, oh, well, he's gonna pay. So are we gonna have like some kind of are we gonna have some time where the villains are not actually warring with the heroes, but we're gonna have like these two villain groups kind of going after each other? We're gonna have like Overhaul's Yakuza group warring with the League of Villains. That would be interesting. I want to know more about his exact power, though. Now, Compress's power also wasn't working, and does that mean someone else in the vicinity, presumably, I guess, one of Overhaul's followers, was using some kind of cancellation quirk? That's the only thing I could think of as to why his power wouldn't work. Otherwise, I don't know. But that scene was really impactful. Not only because one of the members of the League of Villains was killed that easily, and seemingly nonchalantly, too. Like, it almost seemed like Overhaul didn't even mind. But on top of that, it's someone who made a big impact during the beginning of season 2, or was that season 3? No, that was season 3. The beginning of season 3 during the forest arc. I forgot exactly what it's called, but like when the Vanguard Action Squad attacked this Class 1A and Class 1B in the forest and all, like Big Sis Mag, Spinner, all of them, they made a big impact in that scene. So it's like seeing Big Sis Mag, who really showed a great deal of power and just battle ability in that previous arc last season, seeing her taken out just so nonchalantly is terrifying. And seeing how, again, just nonchalant Overhaul is about it all, paints him as a very frightening villain. I'd say he's up there with Shigaraki. If that's his quirk, it's up there with Shigaraki's in terms of how terrifying it truly is. So I'm really interested to see more of that. Overhaul made a big impression really quick here. But yeah, I mean, there's not too much else to talk about. We have Bakugo and Todoroki heading to their extra studies. So I guess maybe everyone else who failed the licensing exam is going to be there too. And I have a question about that. I have a question because I was wondering about something. In the licensing exam, Himiko was using her quirk to disguise herself as Kami. So the real Kami, and she presumably didn't pass the exam. So is the real Kami going to have to take those extra lessons? And if so, are we going to see the real Kami? Are we going to find out like what she's really like? Is she going to be very similar to how Himiko was when disguised as her? Like very flirty and silly and everything, and kind of quirky, pun I guess intended. Is she going to be like that, or is her personality going to be kind of different? There's a lot of questions that I thought of with that, because again, it's like I don't think passed, and also the one guy who was having the feud with Todoroki, the guy Inasa, that's his name. Inasa didn't pass either, right? So is he going to be there too? Yeah, I mean, it opens up a lot of room to bring some of these characters back, I feel. Some of these characters we saw during the licensing exam. Also to note, apparently in one of the guidebooks that was recently released, two of the characters from the licensing exam are apparently confirmed to be dating. There's the one guy who uses the earthquake quirk. He was kind of like viewed as almost similar to Izuku in terms of appearance and all. I cannot remember his name, but then there's also the cute blonde girl who can kind of scrunch her body up. That's her quirk. Her like head can like shoot down into her body and stuff. Her entire upper half can shoot down into her lower half, basically. She can constrict her body into, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Apparently those two are dating, so that's interesting. But yeah, it's like, I really hope we get to see more of some of these other students that we met during the licensing exams, because I think that would be a really cool thing to bring back and a really good way to maybe develop some of them a little more. I guess we'll find out maybe in the next episode, maybe in just a future episode in general. But yeah, there's a lot that got started with this one. Definitely, of course, the Sir Night-Eye stuff, the overhaul stuff. I want to know what Sir Night-Eye can do. I mean, like, outside of just holding the humor in high regard and stuff, like, what can he actually do? What is his quirk? Now, him being very strict doesn't surprise me, but I'm definitely interested to see more of him. It also doesn't surprise me that Mirio would be able to get him to laugh. That does not surprise me at all. But yeah, I'm interested to see more. So we'll find out, I guess, next time as to what happens with that. So tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of My Hero Academia Season 4, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and thank you so much for tuning into today's video. If you want to check out any of my social media links and more, please check them out over to the side. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave those down below. In the meantime, though, thank you so much once again for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.